Good morning, Little Masters. Welcome back to today's Tolkien Times. I'm the Man of the West, also from the Prancing Pony podcast, and let's wrap up week 19 with Silmarillion Saturday. I love these Saturdays. They're our chance to revisit the history and legends of the Elder Days, whether we pull those things from the Silmarillion, Unfinished Tales, or even the history of Middle-earth. Now, when I started this third series, I returned to my favorite First Age piñata, Fëanor. And while we finished the chapter of Fëanor and the Unchaining of Melkor, it's time to take a look at the strife and chaos that surrounded Fëanor as I open up of the Silmarils and the unrest of the Noldor. In that time were made those things that afterwards were most renowned of all the works of the elves. For Fëanor, being come to his full might, was filled with a new thought. Or it may be that some shadow of foreknowledge came to him of the doom that drew near, and he pondered how the light of the trees, the glory of the blessed realm, might be preserved imperishable. Then he began a long and secret labor, and he summoned all his lore and his power and his subtle skill, and at the end of all, he made the Silmarils. As three great jewels they were in form, but not until the end, when Fëanor shall return, who perished ere the sun was made, and sits now in the halls of awaiting, and comes no more among his kin. Not until the sun passes and the moon falls shall it be known of what substance they were made. Like the crystal of diamonds it appeared, and yet was more strong than adamant, so that no violence could mar it or break it within the kingdom of Arda. Yet that crystal was to the Silmarils but as is the body to the children of Iluvatar, the house of its inner fire that is within it, and yet in all parts of it, and is its life. And the inner fire of the Silmarils Fëanor made of the blended light of the trees of Valinor, which lives in them yet, though the trees have long withered and shine no more. Therefore, even in the darkness of the deepest treasury, the Silmarils of their own radiance shone like the stars of Varda. And yet, as were they indeed living things, they rejoiced in light and received it and gave it back in hues more marvelous than before. All who dwelt in Aman were filled with wonder and delight at the work of Fëanor. And Varda hallowed the Silmarils, so that thereafter no mortal flesh, nor hands unclean, nor anything of evil will might touch them, but it was scorched and withered. And Mandos foretold that the fates of Arda, earth, sea, and air, lay locked within them. The heart of Fëanor was fast bound to these things that he himself had made. Then Melkor lusted for the Silmarils, and the very memory of their radiance was a gnawing fire in his heart. From that time forth, inflamed by this desire, he sought ever more eagerly how he should destroy Fëanor and end the friendship of the Valar and the elves. But he dissembled his purposes with cunning, and nothing of his malice could yet be seen in the semblance that he wore. Long was he at work, and slow at first, and barren was his labor. But he that sows lies in the end shall not lack of a harvest, and soon he may rest from toil indeed, while others reap and sow in his stead. Ever Melkor found some ears that would heed him, and some tongues that would enlarge what they had heard, and his lies passed from friend to friend, as secrets of which the knowledge proves the teller wise. Bitterly did the Noldor atone for the folly of their open ears in the days that followed after. When he saw that many leaned towards him, Melkor would often walk among them, and amid his fair words others were woven, so subtly that many who heard them believed in recollection that they arose from their own thought. Visions he would conjure in their hearts of the mighty realms that they could have ruled at their own will in power and freedom in the east. And then whispers went abroad that the Valar had brought the Eldar to Aman because of their jealousy, fearing that the beauty of the Quendi and the Maker's power that Iluvatar had bequeathed to them would grow too great for the Valar to govern, as the elves waxed and spread over the wide lands of the world. Wow. Now, I did a slightly shorter reading than I sometimes do because, well, the thing is there's just so much to talk about here. First, did you notice the spoilers? It may be that some shadow of foreknowledge came to Fëanor of the doom that drew near. Not until the end, when Fëanor shall return, who perished ere the sun was made, and though the trees have long withered and shine no more. Come on, Tolkien. You're really telling us the whole story right there. Now, we learn that there is some doom drawing near. Spoiler, it's the withering of the trees, and that Fëanor dies. Another spoiler, he pretty much deserves it. Now, we also learn a lot about the Silmarils themselves. First, whatever it is the Silmarils are made of, there's nothing in Arda, not diamonds, that can harm them. Next, we learn that the light of the combined trees lives within them, and that Varda made them sacred, and that there are a whole lot of people who can't touch them. Remember, Nor is a negative conjunction. That means that any one of these three categories could not touch the Silmarils: mortal flesh, hands unclean, and anything of evil will. In other words, it doesn't matter if you have clean hands and no evil will. If you are mortal, you're scorched and withered, unless you're barren, but that's another story. So much here. The regret of the Noldor for listening to Melkor. Oh, the huge universal truths in the line, his lies passed from friend to friend as secrets, of which the knowledge proves the teller wise. It is so easy to manipulate those who want to be seen as wise. And there's even the clue early on about Fëanor, that his heart was fast bound to these things that he'd made. Now I know we have not yet heard the advice to love not too well the work of thy hands and the devices of thy heart, but this sure sounds like a warning bell to me. And it really is. And more next week, but for now, that does it for this week's Silmarillion Saturday and for week 19 of today's Tolkien Times. Please visit patreon.com/Tolkien Times to learn how you can support the show and get an ad-free feed, a monthly hangout with me, a bonus weekly episode, and a whole lot more. And folks, if you're watching this on YouTube, please be sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Please follow or subscribe on your podcast apps, and follow @Tolkien Times on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Finally, as Faramir says, go with the goodwill of all good men.